And good afternoon, producer Susan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Jersey Joe. How are you?
Just thank you. It's day 8 of the Trump presidency, and you're
Yep.
still alive. None of your rights have been taken away from you, and you still have access to all your federal services.
As far as I know.
All right. Well, anyway, uh, today is January 28th. It's the day 8th of the Trump presidency. We're going to bring you up to speed about some of the things that he's been doing that you may not have heard about, or give you some perspective on some of the things that you may have heard about, but you only heard one side. You got a bunch of cool things to talk about today. But first, we're going to talk about the stupidest thing I've heard all week, which is a clip of a man in the United Kingdom who is being arrested by the police because something he posted on a social media site caused someone else who read it caused them anxiety. And he's arguing with the cops because what he posted was shared to him by somebody else, and all he did was reshare it on his own site. And then the cops showed up at his house to arrest him because his post caused
Ugh.
someone anxiety. We have the exchange between him and the police officers. Can you imagine in the U.S. if you got arrested every time you caused somebody anxiety?
We'd all be arrested.
I'd be in for life. All right. Um, so if you're a public figure, what's more embarrassing to be proven wrong if you're a public figure, to be proving, just incredibly, awfully, colossally wrong? What's more embarrassing than that if you're a public figure?
I'm not sure.
How about being proven wrong twice?
Okay.
So we're going to revisit a video from 2020 in which we have a collection of very famous people, actors, politicians, talk show hosts, declaring that Trump will never be elected president. And obviously, we know in 2020 he was elected president the first time, and now he's been reelected a second
No,
time. So we're going to put
2016.
2016. I'm sorry, yeah. So it was actually from 2016. I'm glad you caught that. So
Biden was elected in 2020.
no, you're correct. So this is these politicians saying Trump will never be our president. Um, we'll tell you how President Trump, now he's been in office 8 days. There's been a federal water project in California that was designed to pump water from the Sierra Nevada mountains into this what's the name of the valley, the big sand valley where they grow all the
San
vegetables.
Andreas,
No, it's not a San Andreas, the big
San Fernando.
San Fernando Valley where they grow all the vegetables and
Yeah.
lettuce and tomatoes. Um, and 20 years ago, that pumping system got shut down. Farmers been dying for water. Well, he got it turned on today. Um, we will play a clip from 2020 of President Obama telling criminal legal aliens that they will be deported.
Mhm.
And we're going to ask why the people who are upset about Trump, why that Trump is doing that today, weren't upset when Obama made that announcement 5 years ago. And then in a related story, we'll tell you how many people per day that the Biden administration was deporting last year. A big secret. If you say how many people did Biden administration deport, people are like, I didn't know he deported any. Well, we're gonna tell you.
Not
Um,
enough, I will say. He let
Not
too
enough.
many he let too many criminals stay in the country.
Right. And remember last week we talked about the city of Boston buying those 35 new electric school buses that
Yeah.
are going to be powered by a gas-fired power plant? Well, there's another town in Massachusetts that got 4 brand new electric school buses. And we're going to tell you what happened to them the night before they were scheduled to be placed into service. And our taxpayer relief shot this week comes to us from Harrison County, Indiana, where a homeowner wakes up to find 2 teenagers in his home in the middle of the night. Oh, and our quote of the week by economist Thomas Sowell, which I skipped over. But let's start with that. We all know who Thomas Sowell is, right? The black
Yeah, we've had
economist.
many good quotes from Thomas Sowell on
Right.
the show.
And here's one that's fairly recent. And this is social media. I think this is very relevant to social media. He says, some things are believed because they are demonstrably true, but many other things are believed simply because they have been asserted repeatedly and repetition has been accepted as a substitute for evidence. And
Mhm.
I encounter this all the time. People think that the Trump tax plan, which is continuing to generate new record high tax revenues, is responsible for our deficit. Liberals keep repeating, oh, the reason our deficits are so high is because of the Trump tax plan. Cutting tax rates is not the same as cutting tax revenues.
Mhm.
When Reagan did it, tax revenues almost doubled. JFK cut tax rates and tax revenues increased. So I see that. I don't know if you ever see this. People, they hear things over and over and over, and they start to believe it's true. Have you ever encountered this?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Right. So again, his quote, which I run into, and I run into it on a bunch of different things, everything from COVID uh, to tax cuts and whatnot. And again, the quote was, "Some things are believed because they're demonstrably true." That's the easy one. But here's the second half. But many other things are believed simply because they have been asserted repeatedly, and repetition has been accepted as a substitute for evidence. Basically, if you keep repeating the lie over and over and over, people are going to start to believe the lie. And that's what I see happening. And you've seen it, and I assume some of our listeners have seen it over, that the lie, if you repeat it often enough, becomes the truth.
Hmm.
All right. So you want to hear the stupidest thing I've heard all week?
What's the stupidest thing you heard this week?
I just told you that guy in England getting arrested for something he posted on social media. So here we go. Let me turn the volume up. And again, there are two police officers, a male and a female, the constable, at his house to arrest him. It's 32 seconds. Here we go.
No. Just which Hampshire police would realise how ridiculous this is. It is. It is. I'm
What to come to this?
what did it need to come to? Tell me why you escalated it to this level. Because I don't understand. I posted something that he posted. You come to arrest me, you don't arrest him. Why has it come to this? Why am I in cuffs? Because there's something he shared, then I shared.
Because someone has been caused, obviously, anxiety based upon your social media site.
No, not here.
Why you've been arrested?
No.
Because your post caused somebody anxiety, that's why you are being arrested, even though he was not the originator of the post. Did you want to hear that again?
I guess they don't have First Amendment over there.
No, they don't have the First Amendment. Thank God we do. Yeah, they send two constables, not one. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the picture. Three constables. And this is an old man. They sent three constables to arrest this guy for reposting something that he saw on social media. And because somebody saw it on his way and reported him to the police, they sent three constables to his house to arrest him. I'm going to play it one more time. Here we go.
Just which Hampshire police would realise how ridiculous this is.
It is.
It is.
What to come to this?
What did it need to come to? Tell me why you escalated it to this level. Because I don't understand. I posted something that he posted. You come to arrest me, you don't arrest him. Why has it come to this? Why am I in cuffs? Because there's something he shared, then I shared.
Because someone has been caused, obviously, anxiety based upon your social media site. That's
We're not here.
why you've been arrested.
And that's why you're being arrested, because your post caused somebody anxiety. I'm so glad I don't live in the United Kingdom.
I think some of us do take the First Amendment for granted.
No, not me. I don't. I take the Bill of Rights very, very seriously. But I was just stunned that you can be arrested for something you put on social media that, wasn't, not advocating of it. In the United States, by the way, even lying, by the way, in the United States is protected by now you can be sued civilly by somebody if you lie and your lie causes them some damage. But
Yeah.
the Supreme Court ruled that even lying is protected speech. The government can't interfere. If you want to tell lies, the government can't interfere. The only thing you can't do is you can't advocate the violent overthrow of the U.S. government, or you can't advocate violence. But other than that, if you want to cause somebody anxiety, you can cause them anxiety. No, if they
Well,
want,
there is a little bit more to that. Like you can't there, hatred. Um,
well, actually, you can if you want to. Uh, post. I think that purple people are the scum of the earth, and purple people should all be deported, and purple people, are stupid. You can say that. You can say all of that. Um,
and you
Now,
can't yell out fire in a movie theater unless the movie theater is on fire.
well, actually, I went to a Penn and Teller show in the auditorium, and I was in the two rows from the stage, and Penn Jillette comes out. He's got a little table, and he's got a little bit of. He puts a little lighter fluid on top of some rocks and throws a match in it, and he starts yelling, "Fire! Fire! There's fire in the theater!" So Penn Jillette yells fire in a crowded theater almost every time he does his act. All right.
what was the word I was looking for with oh, there's a legal word for when you defamation.
Yeah, defamation, right. But that's an individual. That's not the government. The government
Oh
can't.
yeah, no, not the government, but I meant to individuals.
Right. Yeah, individuals can sue you, but the government can't. Yeah,
Mhm.
if I want to say nasty, slanderous things about you, the government has no power to stop me from doing
Mhm.
that. Now, you can sue me civilly for
Yep.
monetary damages, but the government can't impose a criminal any criminal penalties on me. You can only go after me civilly. All right, you want to hear the big laugh from 2016 and these?
Yeah.
All right. Now, by the way, I think the first person is George Clooney. Do you know who Ann Coulter is?
Yeah.
The panel. So you can hear. By the way, the first 10 people you hear are all going to be people saying Trump is never going to be president, and then you cut to a panel discussion of Ann Coulter, and they're all going around the panel saying, "Well, who do you think is going to be our next president?" And Ann Coulter says Donald Trump, and they laugh hysterically at her, like she's a moron. So it anyway. So here's this. And the first person you hear is going to be George Clooney. I'm not going to play the whole thing. It goes for 5 minutes. I'll play it up to Ann Coulter.
Not going to be a President Donald Trump. That's not going to happen.
That's Bernie Sanders.
He's not going to be president.
Nancy Pelosi.
Donald Trump is not going to be president of the United States. Take it to the bank.
Okay.
I guarantee it.
All right.
I think if he
This is Tom Hanks.
becomes the president, he'll make it great. The states is already.
I think that man will be president of the United States right about the time that spaceships come down filled with dinosaurs and red capes.
On that note, Tom.
Take it from me. How about that?
And then
And this is who's the guy that got the late night talk show? Seth Meyers. Here we go.
Of course, there's Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke.
Donald Trump, just last week, he
And this is this is going to be Joy Behar from The View. Here we go.
confirmed to the National Review that he is again considering a run in 2016.
Do it.
John Oliver.
do it. I will personally write you a campaign check now on behalf of this country, which does not want you to be president, but which badly wants you to run.
So when you stand and deliver that State of the Union address,
And this is going to be Barack Obama.
in no part of your mind or brain can you imagine Donald Trump standing up one day and delivering a State of the Union address?
Well, I can imagine it in a Saturday night skit. I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
He will never be
This is Elizabeth Warren.
president of the United States.
And we better be ready for the fact that he might be leading the Republican ticket next.
I know you don't believe that, but I want to go on.
Sorry,
Okay, here we are. And which Republic?
And this is Bill Maher and a bunch of other people. And Ann Coulter's the last people on the panel, but this is a 5-person panel being led by Bill Maher.
Candidate has the best chance of winning the general election.
Of the declared ones right now, Donald Trump.
That's the entire audience laughing at Ann Coulter.
And so, right now, Mr. Trump, to answer your call for political honesty, I just want to say, you're not going to be president, all right?
Steve, that was Stephen Colbert.
It's been fun. It's been great. I love you. But come on, buddy. All, let's say, cow poo-poo aside, there is zero chance we'll be seeing you being sworn in on the Capitol steps with your hand on a giant golden Bible.
I'll make a prediction, though, for you. I don't really get into predictions much, but this one I'll go way out on a limb. Donald Trump will never, ever be president of the United States. That Trump should not be in this race. He's an absurdity. He is a travesty.
Donald Trump will never be elected president of the United States.
That's Senator Harry Reid from Nevada.
Donald Trump is the here today, gone tomorrow candidate for president of the United States.
That was Nancy Pelosi again.
of the States. Donald Trump is not going to be president of the United States. Ever respectful of the fact that the people have not voted, he's not going to be president of the United States.
Let's be clear.
All right, I've got a couple more minutes, but so they were wrong not only once, but they've been wrong twice now. So how embarrassing is that for you to be part of that compilation?
Yeah, and it's not. So yeah, it wasn't. I think the last few elections have been very close, and this was overwhelmingly he won both the popular vote and the electoral vote. So the American people have spoken.
Yep. And all these so-called experts and politicians and talk show hosts and celebrities clearly they must live in a state of they must live in the state of denial because how wrong could you be? Particularly when the entire audience laughed at Ann Coulter, I thought that was very telling.
Well, I distinctly remember a conversation I had with you back in the summer of it was June specifically. It was June 2016 when the primaries were still going on. And at that point, it was pretty clear that Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump were both each of the respective party frontrunners. And I was like, how could these two people, who neither of them I felt were, should be president at the time? And you said to me, oh, don't worry, this is just a ploy. They're going to bring out the real candidate later.
Well, that's because I think there were people more qualified than Donald Trump.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't think that, I think the country is long overdue for a female president, but I didn't think that Hillary Clinton was qualified, and I don't think that Kamala Harris was qualified either.
Well, and I agree with you, but the American people wanted Donald Trump, so I guess they all underestimated the American people. Anyway, so you want to talk about water in California?
Yeah, they desperately need water, that's for sure.
All right, so this is from the hot air, and by the way, you're going to post that link to that clip I just played in this story here. So this is a clip from Hot Air. It says, thanks to a stroke of the pen, the force of the United States military, California's man-made drought is over. Donald Trump has begun the free flow of water through the spine of the Golden Gate for the first time in 17 years. Let me take you back to the early 2000s. California's Central Valley was home to around 220,000 acres of farmland. Now, that amount of acreage may not mean anything, but in terms of food output, the Central Valley was once responsible for a full 1/4 of the country's agricultural output, including 40% of the fruits, nuts, and vegetables. In 2000 alone, the state's agricultural crops combined as $27 billion of market value. Anyway, then they got into this thing about the smelt, which is little fish about the size of your pinky.
Mm-hmm.
And while they were concerned because this water was being pumped up over the San Fernando Mountains by these massive pumps, and they were concerned that the pumps, the environmentalists said, well, a lot of these little smelt fish are getting killed when they go through the pumps. And they forced the shutdown of these pumping stations that were bringing water up over the Sierra Nevada. Well, as a result of that, they lost 2/3 of their water supply. Farmland was going unirrigated, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They got the EPA to classify this fish as endangered species, which it isn't, by the way. You can find it up and down the West Coast. You can find it in Europe. Anyway, the water literally stopped flowing. Well, yesterday, for 17 years, by the way, the farmers and ranchers in that valley have been begging for common sense, rationality, and relief from the drought that didn't need to be. And not one Democrat in the state lifted a finger to fight the bureaucracy on their behalf. Well, yesterday, President Trump said, reactivate the pumps, start pumping water again. So that's what's happening. By the way, without that,
I mean, that is a huge, I don't think that the American people necessarily realize the amount of agriculture in that valley that our entire country depends on.
Yeah, it's 1/4 of our agricultural output. And by the way, 97 trillion gallons of mountain runoff was being allowed to go out into the Pacific Ocean because those pumping stations weren't pumping. 97 trillion gallons of water.
And that's an area that, they've been suffering drought. They desperately need water. Look what's happening with the fires because they've been under such drought.
Yep. And again, so 97 trillion gallons of water. every year have been going into the fresh water, have been going into the Pacific Ocean. It is now going back into the San Fernando Valley, which is the breadbasket, at least for lettuce, tomatoes, fruits, and vegetables. So
Avocados.
avocados as well, yes. So he did that. That's on day 8. So he's been a pretty busy guy, right?
Yeah.
All right. So let's see what else we got to go on here. Now everybody's getting all upset because Trump is deporting criminal aliens, right? Criminal legal aliens. Oh no, we need to protect these people and blah blah. Well, guess who said we're going to deport criminal aliens in 2020 and nobody got excited about it? Let me see if you recognize this voice.
If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up.
You recognize that voice?
That's Barack Obama.
That's Barack Obama in November of 2020 saying if you're a criminal, you will be deported. Not may be deported, you will be deported. If you get caught, you will be sent back. Did you remember anybody getting up in arms when Obama made that declaration?
Nope.
So why was it?
I think what people are missing is that now, granted, so many people come to this country to make a better life for themselves. They want to work, they want to earn a living, they want to create themselves a better life. But these are people who are criminals, who are committing violent crimes against Americans. The rapes and the murders and the burglary. There's a word you can't say.
Assault, yep. Car thefts, carjackings, yep.
And closing the border does not mean you can't come to this country. It means you need to use the door.
Use the door, right.
Who
and
said
people
that?
saying, well, who's going to pick the lettuce? Well, you've got work visa programs. You can become a guest worker. You can come in, you can pick lettuce and tomatoes and then go back home in the wintertime and then come back in the spring. We have guest worker programs. So
I think, I think yourself included, me included, so many of us, America has been known as the melting pot of the world. Our parents, our grandparents, our great grandparents came to this country to create better lives. They came here legally. And when they came here, they had to prove that they could provide for themselves, that they would not be reliant off the government.
Absolutely correct. That came through Ellis Island. First of all, you had to be vetted. If you had a communicable disease, by the way, you were sent back home. These people coming across the border are not being vetted for communicable diseases, by the way. I mean, if they're obviously sick, they get taken to a hospital, but nobody's. And by the way, if you want to come here on a visa from another country, do you know that you have to have a health certificate from a physician within 30 days of your arrival in the United States? Did you know that?
I didn't know that for humans, but I did, having transported dogs. I know dogs have to do that. Yes.
No, if you want to come here on a visa from another country where a visa is required, you have to have a health certificate. And by the way, there's been a huge outbreak of tuberculosis in Kansas City. Wonder where that came from. I guess we'll never know, huh? By the way, guess who else was deporting? But you want to guess how many people the Biden administration was deporting every day last year?
I feel like not enough.
Not enough, but I just looked this up the other day. Last year, the Biden administration deported 271,000 immigrants. That works out to 740 a day. Huh? Did the news media make a big deal when the Biden was deporting 740 people?
The impression I got was that there was not many deportations at all.
Well, that's because I think it was they kept it. They weren't publicizing it. It was low key, and/or the media didn't want to take shots at Biden. But Biden, this is on public record. You can go to the Customs and Border Patrol website or just Google deportations 2024, and you will see where the Biden administration deported 271,000 immigrants in 2024, which works out to 740 a day. And it never made the evening news. Yet every time Donald Trump, deports somebody, it's the lead story on every news channel. So why is it leading news when Trump does it? And why was it a non-story when Biden did it? I guess we'll never know unless you have any thoughts.
No, but I think we need to go back to, you need to be able to support yourself.
Yep. And you need that, right. Come here legally.
No government cell phones, no government housing, no government prepaid cards.
Yeah, no EBT cards. Exactly. All right.
Prove that you want to have a job and you want to have work in the whatever industry.
Guest worker. Yeah, if you want to work in the fields, you get a guest worker fee. If you want to work in a hotel, have the hotel sponsor you as a you can come here. If you want to do maid service in a hotel, the hotel can sponsor you. You can come in as a guest worker.
And I have worked with a couple of different organizations who have large populations of international employees. And typically, how that works is that whatever your visa costs, let's say the cost of your visa is in direct proportion to how much you'll be making your salary. So on average, your visa might cost $1,000. Your employer just basically they offer you $1,000 less in pay.
Yep.
So your employer will pay for your visa.
Yeah, it's called a sign-on bonus, right? It's a
Yeah.
sign-on bonus, right? Well, good. All right. How much time we got left?
We got a good solid 10 minutes.
Good. All right. So last week we talked about Boston buying 35 school buses, electric school buses, for $280,000 a pop, which is 3 times the cost of a regular bus. And they're going to get their electricity from a natural gas power plant. So they're going to be burning fossil fuels to make the electricity to power their zero emission vehicles, right? So isn't that the height of stupidity?
Yeah.
And we talked about if you're going to burn that natural gas to make electricity, get CNG powered buses and burn the natural gas in the bus instead of burning it 20 miles away, sending it through the power lines, converting it to electricity. Just burn it directly. Well, anyway, a place called Wilbraham, Mass. It's a suburb outside of Boston. They bought 5 brand new electric school buses, and they were going to put them into service the next day. So the night before, they plugged them all into the charging station. Guess what happened overnight while they were charging for the first time?
They catch fire.
They caught fire, and all 5 of their $280,000 electric buses burned up the night before. So at $280,000 a pop times 5, that's about $1,300,000, $1,400,000 went up in flames. Never carried the first student even 1 foot. 5 brand new buses.
And I mentioned this last week. I'm curious, in New England, when school's in session, it's cold, how these buses are going to function in these, negative or single digit numbers.
Well, if they don't go too far, they might get away with it. But as we talked about, cold does 2 things. Number 1, it reduces the stored power and it reduces available power from the battery. And 2, when you have to heat the bus, turn on the heater because it's 0 degrees outside. The power to heat the buses is coming from the battery. So you start with a battery that already has reduced output because of the cold temperature, and then you're using a significant portion of what power is left in that battery to keep the bus warm. So that's why electric school buses, don't have very good range or endurance. You might get 2 hours if you're lucky out of an electric school bus. So, and by the way, most school buses do more than one route. They may go out and do they might do a 20-minute route and go out and do another 20-minute route. And anyway, so far, electric buses and school buses in Massachusetts so far have been a fiasco. All right. You want to move on to taxpayer relief shots?
Sure thing.
All right. So we call them taxpayer relief shots because, let's see if I can find this. This is Sheriff Santa Rosa County, Florida.
Somebody's breaking in your house, you're more than welcome to shoot them in Santa Rosa County. We prefer that you do, actually. Hopefully, you'll save the taxpayers money.
And for our second one, are you a Swiss grated cheese guy or a blow them back out of the house?
Swiss cheese.
Yeah, grated
Although
cheese.
I think he says grated cheese.
Here we go. Here's Sheriff Grady Judd from Polk County.
I would highly suggest that if a looter comes into your home while you're there to steal stuff, that you take your gun and you shoot him. You shoot him so that he looks like grated cheese.
All right, that was Sheriff Grady Judge, and that's
why. So I do want to point out on both of those. Those are sheriffs of the respective counties in Florida.
Yep.
They're law enforcement, and those comments were made during natural disasters. I believe both hurricanes instances, but because those comments were made during a hurricane, that doesn't change the fundamental message that you need to defend yourself.
Right. You are your own first line of defense.
Yeah, that was a comment from one of our regular listeners about,
right,
that those comments were said during a hurricane, but it doesn't change the fundamental message that those are law enforcement people stating you need to defend yourself, whether it's a hurricane or not a hurricane.
And how many taxpayer relief shots have we had where the person is on the phone with the 911 dispatcher?
Absolutely.
And things come to a climax before the police can even get there.
Because when minutes count, or when seconds count, the police are minutes away.
Minutes away. That's exactly right. So here we have a guy who wakes up in the middle of the night and find some people in his house who shouldn't be there. And this is from Indiana.
We are learning more about a deadly home invasion in Harrison County. Police say the homeowner killed one of the intruders. The homeowner told us two masked men attacked him early this morning at his home on Monroe Lane near Cynthiana. He says he then grabbed a gun and fought back. As Sean Moody tells us, the homeowner told us he feared for his life.
What happened early Monday morning out here along Monroe Lane will change a lot of people's lives.
I just couldn't believe it was happening.
Bill Jolly never thought he'd be attacked in his own home and have to shoot and kill someone.
It was either them or me, and I wanted to make sure that I got to wake up tomorrow.
And Mark Gross never expected he'd get a call saying his son had been shot and killed.
I'm lost for words.
By the way, this is the dead boy's father. So listen to what the dead boy's father says about the shooting.
State police say Raven Edwards asked Jolly if she could come to his house early this morning. They say her boyfriend, Marcus Gross, and another man, Larry Nolan, went with her. They say she first went inside alone, then went back outside, returning with Gross and Nolan. Police said the two men attacked Jolly. He says in the struggle, he was able to get a gun from his nightstand.
One guy had me in a bear hug, and the other one was charging me, and I was able to swing around with the guy that was on me and shoot the other one.
Police say Gross was hit. They say Nolan drove Gross to Harrison Memorial Hospital, then ran off, abandoning his car. Gross died at the hospital. Police arrested Edwards, charging her with burglary and robbery. Mark Gross says his son has made mistakes, but he says he's good at his core.
And again, here's the father.
Marcus, he's my heart. He's my pride and joy.
He says he understands why Jolly did what he did.
A man does have a right to protect his home. He really does.
Jolly says he's still in shock over the whole thing, and he's planning to stay away from his house for a little while.
I didn't wake up this morning meaning to shoot anybody. I woke up and did my thing and was with my friends and came home. I didn't ask for any of this.
In Harrison County, Sean Moody, WKYT.
I was surprised that the father of the boy was so.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said a man has a right to defend himself. So
yeah.
He recognizes that his son made a mistake, and that the homeowner did what he had.
With his life.
And you heard that the one guy had the homeowner in a bear hug, and he had the gun in his hand, but he was able to swing around and shoot the other guy coming at him. That's a pretty scary situation. So even though they weren't armed, they could have easily overpowered him and taken his gun, or taken a hammer or a knife. So clear-cut self-defense.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to add before we sign off?
Well, the Super Bowl players have been announced. So I think I asked you this last week. I know your wife is a huge Eagles fan and also a huge Chiefs fan, but I think you said she was going to root for the Eagles, though.
Right. She was born in Philadelphia, and she had me buy, 6 weeks ago, she had me buy, when I went to the casino, they have a sports book there. She made me buy $100 ticket on the Eagles to win the Super Bowl, and if they do, it'll pay me $550. So,
well, although I'm currently in Pennsylvania, I was born and raised a Giants fan, so I cannot, in good conscience, root for the Eagles. Although Saquon, I do cheer for Saquon.
Yep. Anyway, it's going to be a great game. But again, she's Eagles all the way this year. In the past, she's been a Chiefs fan. She's been rooting for the Chiefs, but this year it's going to be Eagles. Do you have so you're going to you're going to root for the?
Again, I don't have I don't really have, I certainly don't support the Eagles, only Saquon.
Okay. So you're going to be going for the Chiefs. All right. Hey, before we run out of time, let me sign off here. Anyway, thank everybody for giving up 30 minutes out of your day to listen to me ramble on about the things I find of interest important. And I hope you found them as interesting and important as I did. And if so, I hope you continue listening to podcasts in the weeks and months to come. If you want to see some materials and the links we had, like that clip of these people saying Trump will never be president, or the story about Trump getting the water turned back on, give producer Susan a day or two and she'll have them up on the website, which is JerzeeJoe.com. Just remember to spell Jerzee, J-E-R, as in Robert, Z as in zebra, E-E, Jerzee, JerzeeJoe.com. You'll find those links to those stories. If you want to email me with a comment, question, or suggested show topic, you can do that by sending me an email to just Joe at JerzeeJoe.com. Just remember to spell Jerzee Joe with an R-Z and two E's. And with that, producer Susan, unless you have something else to add, I'll sign off. Anything else you want to add?
Nope. I think my snow is finally going to melt this week.
Oh, good for you. All right. Well, I'll talk to you next week. You
All
take
right.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.